A Passage to India by E. M. Forster. Introduction by Peter Burra. Peter Burra introduces the novel as Forster's most complex work, intertwining personal relationships with political tensions in colonial India. Burra focuses on the central idea, the difficulties of human connection under an imperialist system. He explores how Forster's philosophical inquiries about race, religion, and friendship elevate the novel beyond a mere political statement. The text is as much about metaphysical doubt and emotional truth as it is about historical reality. Author's Notes. E. M. Forster's author's note highlights the novel's origin in his 2 visits to India. He admits the novel took years to write, reflecting the complexity of its themes. The 3-part structure, mosque, caves, and temple, symbolizes phases of human connection and disconnection, as well as the underlying spiritual, emotional, and cultural divisions in colonial India. Forster stresses that the novel is less about plot and more about the failure of understanding between East and West. Part 1. Mosque. Theme: Possibility of Understanding, Early Harmony. This section represents the initial optimism and tentative connections between British and Indians. Chandrapur is introduced as a divided city, with the British ruling elite living on the hills and the Indian population settled below. The division mirrors the deep cultural and racial separation. Development of characters. We meet Dr. Aziz, a proud yet sensitive Muslim Indian doctor, whose dignity is repeatedly tested under British rule. Mrs. Moore, a kind and spiritually sensitive Englishwoman, represents the potential for genuine understanding between the races. Quote, "God is here," said the old lady. "God is not mocked." Explanation. Mrs. Moore utters these words in the mosque when she connects with Dr. Aziz. The quote reflects her instinctive spiritual humility and the respect she shows for Indian spaces and beliefs. Unlike most British colonials, she acknowledges the sacredness of other religions. Fielding's Tea Party. Fielding, the principal of the government college, acts as a bridge figure. His tea party, attended by Aziz, Mrs. Moore, and Adela, shows a brief moment of equality and understanding. The connection feels real, but fragile. Quote, "Indians are not allowed into the Chandrapur Club even as guests." Explanation. This stark statement underlines the racial exclusivity of the British Raj. Even in social settings, Indians are treated as inferior, reminding readers of the constant institutional racism that undermines any chance of sincere friendship. The section ends with a sense of potential and hope, embodied in Aziz's spontaneous invitation to visit the Marabar Caves. It is a moment of enthusiasm, unaware of the tragedy to follow. Part 2. Caves. Theme: Collapse of communication, misunderstanding and chaos. This part shifts dramatically in tone and meaning. The Marabar Caves, with their uncanny, featureless echo, represent the incomprehensibility of India from the British point of view. They are symbolic of spiritual emptiness and existential confusion. The caves experience. Aziz arranges an elaborate picnic for Adela and Mrs. Moore. However, Mrs. Moore becomes disturbed by the echo inside the cave and withdraws. Adela enters another cave alone, and something unexplainable happens. She panics and runs, later accusing Aziz of attempted assault. Quote, "The echo in a Marabar cave is not like these echoes, it is entirely devoid of distinction. Whatever is said, the same monotonous sound replies." Explanation. The echo symbolizes the collapse of meaning. It flattens all individual experience into sameness. Forster uses this metaphor to express how communication between cultures breaks down in the face of mystery and misunderstanding. The arrest and trial. Aziz is arrested, and the trial becomes a symbol of British legal arrogance and racial injustice. The English rally around Adela without question, while Fielding and a few others defend Aziz. The courtroom is more a battleground of imperial power than a place of justice. Quote, "She had spoken the truth. But truth in that place meant nothing." Explanation. Adela retracts her accusation during the trial, admitting her uncertainty. Yet, Forster shows that in a racially charged system, even truth cannot repair the damage caused by suspicion and bias. Aftermath. Though Aziz is acquitted, his relationship with Fielding is damaged. He becomes bitter, believing British-Indian friendship is impossible. Mrs. Moore, who might have been a unifying force, dies on her journey back to England, disillusioned and spiritually broken. Part 3. Temple. Theme: spiritual acceptance, disconnected reconciliation. Several years later, the story resumes in Mao, a Hindu princely state. The tone shifts from rational to mystical. Hinduism, unlike Islam or British rationalism, emphasizes acceptance, chaos, and unity through spirituality. A new setting. Aziz has withdrawn from British society and lives a peaceful life in Mao. He writes poetry and treats patients. Fielding visits Mao with his wife, leading to a cautious reunion. The friendship is strained. Distrust and colonial memories still linger. Quote, "India shall be a nation. No foreigners of any sort." Aziz the poet was also Aziz the patriot. Explanation. Aziz's nationalism has grown. He now believes that friendship with the British can only happen after they leave. The personal has become political. The festival of Krishna. The Hindu festival provides a symbolic background where distinctions between self and other, sacred and profane, blur. The chaos and emotional release of the festival suggest a unity that is overwhelming but inclusive. Quote, "All invitations must be the same, all events mean equally or mean nothing." Explanation. This line captures the Hindu idea of unity within multiplicity. Forster contrasts this mystical acceptance with the cold logic and exclusivity of British colonialism. Final horse ride. In the novel's final scene, Fielding and Aziz ride through the forest. Though they try to reconnect, external forces and internal wounds keep them apart. The land itself seems to reject their unity. Quote, "No, not yet," and the sky said, "No, not there." Explanation. Nature seems to reflect the novel's conclusion. Reconciliation between East and West cannot happen under imperialism. Only with true freedom and equality can friendship be possible. Conclusion. The unfinished bridge between East and West. E.M. Forster's A Passage to India ends not with a resolution, but with a haunting echo of spiritual ambiguity and emotional frustration. The final scene, two friends drifting apart in the wilderness, summarizes the novel's core message: that human connection, while deeply desired, remains painfully elusive in the context of colonial domination, racial misunderstanding, and cultural dissonance. The symbolism of the three parts. The novel's tripartite structure, mosque, caves, temple, mirrors three stages of a spiritual and emotional journey. 1. Mosque represents hope, formality, and the beauty of respectful encounters. In this phase, individuals like Mrs. Moore and Aziz sense the possibility of understanding across cultures. 2. Caves embodies chaos and the failure of rational communication. The caves, echo strips language and meaning of clarity, reflecting the broader collapse of empathy between colonizer and colonized. 3. Temple introduces mysticism and inclusiveness, especially through the lens of Hindu philosophy. It suggests an alternate worldview, where unity does not require explanation, it simply exists. Yet, even this unity is portrayed as too formless to bridge the real-world political divide. The role of empire. The British Raj is not simply a backdrop but an active force shaping the lives, psychology, and relationships of every character. Even well-meaning individuals like Fielding and Mrs. Moore cannot transcend the structures of colonialism. The very idea of equality or friendship is corrupted by the power imbalance at the heart of empire. Quote, "The 100 voices of India were crying, 'No, not yet,' and the sky said, "No, not there." Explanation. This final sentence encapsulates the novel's message. Despite efforts, the time for reconciliation between India and Britain, or even between two men, has not yet come. Nature itself joins the verdict, reinforcing the metaphysical impossibility of unity under colonial conditions. Cultural and religious contrasts. Islam, Christianity, and Hinduism serve not only as religions but as worldviews. Islam, Aziz, as dignified and poetic but sensitive to insult; Christianity, Mrs. Moore and Adela, as idealistic but rigid and moralistic. Hinduism, the temple section, offers a view of life as interconnected chaos where distinctions dissolve. Yet even in the face of this spiritual richness, Forster insists that politics matters. Without freedom, there can be no authentic relationship. The colonial divide taints even the most intimate human connections. The human condition. Ultimately, A Passage to India transcends its historical setting. It becomes a meditation on the human longing for unity, and the recurring failure to attain it. The novel is not merely political or religious, it is psychological, philosophical, and existential. It asks: 1. Can we ever truly understand another culture? 2. Is friendship possible when inequality is institutionalized? 3. Does spiritual harmony matter in a world governed by power? Forster leaves these questions open, reminding us that humanity's greatest tragedies often stem not from hatred, but from misunderstanding.